So this is Return of the Obra Dinn Part 5, and today I was gonna do this tomorrow, but after I discovered that this game is not as long as I thought it was going to be. Actually, Bayonetta is actually longer than this game. This is about anywhere from 8 to about a 12-hour long game. 12 hours if you're looking for every detail. Um, More than that if you actually want to actually deep dive, but it doesn't go beyond 24 hours, even with a deep dive, like if you count up all the hours. So it's not a long game. The shortest, I believe, it's about an 8 hour long game. So I thought it was going to be longer, but I guess it's due to budget. The main reason why I didn't have a lot of animation, why everything's black and white, is should have been a clue. Or I just thought it was just the aesthetic of the game itself. But it doesn't really matter because I'm pretty sure, based on everything, I got what I need with regards to figuring out majority of everything that's going on within the ship. So I'm going to try to break it down from the beginning to where I am right now. One, we have the very first page of the book, which is the return of the Obra Dinn. The story starts with a guy going towards a ship that's been missing since um, 1803 and was written and given to someone. Let's say the French Quarter, this book, and they themselves gave it to him with regards to him finding out what happened on the ship, or he personally, the survivor. I can only assume that if not the doctor, the purser, or someone in association with the doctor gave it to him so he could investigate the ship, which was in 1807. So this ship went missing in 1803, and the catalog of adventures and tragedy and the word 1807 is written on it. So it's very strange because it's catalog 1807, but it was stated to have gone missing in 1803. So if I was to start this game over from the beginning, which I'm going to do, I'm going to go back. And that's why I'm very curious about this book, because if this ship went missing in 1803, and the person who wrote this, if it's actually Henry Evans, means Henry Evans survived his illness, why it would be stated to be 1807. Otherwise, if he died from his illness, he would have died the very year for which the ship was found thereafter. So the moment the ship was found, he died. So the moment the ship disappeared, he never finished the book at all. But the moment it resurfaced, he couldn't finish the book because he died. That doesn't really make sense between 1803 to 1807, unless he actually decided to write the book in 1807, and for 3 years on the ship, he never cataloged anything, which can only mean one thing and one thing only. From the time period, and we'll have to go through by the chapters. And let's say loose cargo and bitter cold are within the first year, and murder and the calling are within the second year, and unholy captives, soldier at sea, and doom are within the third year. Or the most obvious, the first three chapters are within the first year of the crew traveling on the high seas, and the next three chapters are with regards to the next year on the high seas, and the last three chapters are with regards to the third year, where everything went to shit on the high seas, and the surgeon either escaped and lived or didn't escape and live, and he documented everything during this period, the period of when the doom ship happened, in the period of when the mutiny. So he could have wrote this book the very same year after the events of Doom, which means it would have to happen during Bargain. And Bargain is when he decided to start writing the book, not before this. He was probably still on the ship during Bargain, and then the mutiny happened either during this period or during this period, and then he escaped or he died. So that's what I'm going with. Or it could be the most obvious, which is the ship disappeared regards to some Bermuda Triangle nonsense, and it suddenly appeared as if it never left, which means the travel period on the ship, and this is the travel period, it would not take them 3 years from the time that, let's say, the original pickup location was somewhere around here, and they travel around here to Cape Verde, and then they travel here, or they originally traveled from north here, and they went all the way around here, and the events of the mutiny happened here. So from here to here, or from here to here, it's impossible for that to equal to 3 years. From here to here couldn't possibly be 3 years, nor from here to here. It won't take you 3 years to get around Africa. I don't care what time period you're living in and how old the ship is. It won't take you 3 years to get around Africa. No way in hell. It won't even take you 2 years to get around Africa, even if you're in an old-timey ship. So the period from 1803, 1807, all those events might have happened within just that year, and the ship just disappeared in that same year of 1807. It had nothing to do with previous years, 1803 to 1807. That's all. That's all I could say. That's the only thing that would make sense here. That for some reason it disappeared at sea during that final years, or we're talking about a time loop situation here. Because there's no way doing a ship traveling in seas would take 3 years to go around an entire damn continent, unless the ship disappeared on the exact year for which it was counted to be lost, which is 1807, which the book never stated, or the story never stated that it was 1803 that it got lost. It just said it was lost to sea. So it probably was lost to sea at the very last year. And the accounts for everything that happening on that ship happened during the very last year, 1807. Couldn't have happened in 1803, unless I'm missing something. Because if it did, if these people travel on the ship in 1803 and lose cargo was the first year, 1803, of travel, then that means these people have been dead for some time. Because it does not take 3 years to get around a continent. It doesn't even take a year. Probably take about a year if it's a very, very old ship, but it won't take anywhere from 2 to 3 years. So this might be a ghost ship, and there were no survivors. So, or they are survivors and the events happen on the final year, not the first year, or the second, or anything. The boat was, let me go back. So there's no history with regards to the ship. I keep forgetting. The only way to know about the history of the ship is to go all the way back to let's go to the end. There's nothing. the description of each individuals and the description of duties of each individual, or at least locations of where each individuals are. Moving forward from that, that's pretty much how everything pans out. So if you really want to know the full story with regards to this ship, you would have to close this out, restart, quit, begin again, and start a new journey. And then see what it says. It says here, lost at sea in 1803. So it was lost. So the travel happened in 1803. It wasn't lost in 1807. So the events that happened on the ship started in 1803. So from time of travel, from the time it was travel, let's say it was from the Cape going all the way up north, or from the Cape going all the way down south, that will not take 3 years. So it disappeared during that 3 year period. That's all. It didn't travel for 3 years. It just disappeared during that 3 year period. So events happen within, let's say, a couple of months of either 1803 or 1804. Well, actually, let me be frank. It happens in, the events happen in 1803. Period.
Company man woke me up. Said you'd need ferry to the Obra Dinn. Not many eager for that job. Seems a bit late if you ask.
I didn't.
What's in the box?
I don't know. Hoist it up in a few minutes.
Hey! How?
Carefully.
Okay, so there's that. Now, I'm going to ignore that because I needed to find out if it was actually 1803. So now I know it was actually 1803. So the ship disappeared in 1803. The events happened in 1803. The ship was found in 1807. So during those months of 1803, that's when it disappeared. The events didn't happen over 1803, 1804, 1805, 1806, and then it was found again in 1807. That wouldn't make sense based on line of travel, unless we're talking about the same people on the same ship traveling back and forth for a couple of years. But that wouldn't make sense for the passengers themselves, unless the passengers themselves, the events of the passengers happened in the first year, and events with regards to everyone else happen in separate years. So it's either is a disappearing situation of the first year, or it's a separation situation over a couple of years. A lot of people probably would not get this. So you got to go back to the story. You got to go back, you check your book. You got to go back to see how things play out. Let's go all the way back. This is the guy. This guy name is Henry Evans. He's the surgeon. He's the one that wrote this book of the Obra Dinn, and he wrote it in 1807. Now, if the events of the ship taking off was in 1803 and it got lost in 1803, then it would mean that they were on the seas during that entire period from the time it left to it being rediscovered in 1807. So while they were thinking they were traveling the whole time on the high seas, this is the only thing that makes sense. While they were traveling the whole time on the high seas, let's say they were traveling from the Cape here, Cape Verde, or they were traveling all the way from here and past Cape Verde and here, going all the way up north. While they were thinking, while they were traveling in 1803, that they were actually traveling, they weren't traveling at all, because there was no way in hell it would take you that many years just to get around Africa. From 1803 all the way to 1807, not even the oldest Viking ships way back in the BC era would it take you years to travel. So if the events that happened on the ship happened in 1803, and everyone, the murder, the giant kraken, everything, the giant spiders, all that happened during that same year, and it was lost, everything that happened thereafter during the period of 1803 happened during that disappearing period of 1803. And as the years ticked on, blum, 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 year after year after year, eventually it got rediscovered in 1807. That's the only thing that makes sense. The only thing that makes sense. Or we have a situation where we have passengers. We have a situation where we have passengers and we have crewmen and individuals, and the passengers, events of passengers happened during the 1803, and the events of mutiny happened during the last year, 1807, and the events of the monsters happened sometime between, let's say 1, 2, 3 happened 1803, 1, 2, 3 happened in 1804, 1, 2, 3 happened in 1805, or it's like 1, 2 happened in 1803, 1, 2 happened in 1804, 1, 2 happened in 1805, 1, 2 happened in 1806, and then this happened in 1807. So it could be a factor of traveling back and forth, location to location, and everything with the passengers was in 1803, and everything moving thereafter happened in 1804, 1805, 1806. But here's the thing: the surgeon will have to be on the ship at all times, regardless. So all events with regards to the passengers, it says here, passengers, Doom, and he says this is all the passengers here that escaped the Doom ship. These people. This guy's a passenger. She is not a passenger. No, she is a passenger. His wife was a passenger. So she wasn't on the ship with him for all those years. She was considered a passenger. Or maybe the idea of passenger is someone who's not a part of the ship. They're just riding with the people on the ship. Doesn't really make sense. Let's go to the next section. Where did the murder happen? The murder. Okay, during this period, the guy went to steal something from the Chinese guy. The Italian guy got wind of it. He got killed. When did this happen? Could have been 1803, 1804, 1805. You don't know. What it is known is that he got killed. A mini mutiny happened, but none of that information is fully explained either. So the only thing that makes sense in my mind is that all these events happened during the 1803 year. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. If we're talking about people who escape ship, let's go all the way back to the end. Or to escape. Let's see who all escaped. Disappeared. It would be classified as disappeared. Passenger, 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 and the doctor is pronounced disappeared. So we don't know if he died from his illness or he actually left. But these were all events that happened way after Doom, way after the mutiny. But these were all constituted as passengers. So if the game is basically saying a passenger is someone who's simply on the ship, but they don't have any type of active duties to be on the ship, then that doesn't exactly make sense, because the Chinese family, the royal family, which we see here, their royal family wouldn't be people just chilling on the ship for years on end. They have to be passengers traveling to some place from one location to the next location, and stated as such, and they have to get off somewhere eventually. So if you're going to use the word passenger as simply people who are chilling on the ship because they're related to wives or husbands on the ship, but they don't do anything, then there's a conflict there, which means that people who made the game aren't really thinking. You can't just use the word passengers blindly like that. They have to be people who are just taking a plane or taking a boat or something that they are going to get to someplace and they're not permanently going to be on the ship for years and years. That's where I'm saying these events can only have happened in 1803. It doesn't make sense that these passengers would be traveling that many years. So the ship must have disappeared in 1803, and these people have been traveling on the seas the whole time, thinking they're just traveling during the period of that year when it's been time's been slipping and years been passing. I mean, the logic of giant monsters, krakens, and giant crabs should be part of the scenario, and I have this feeling that that object that those Orientals had have something to do with it. And the fact that we have a pocket watch that could like turn back time to see those of the dead also have something to do with it. None of this stuff is incidental. This might be an 8 hour to 10 hour game most. That's the reason why I'm still playing it. But now that I've known, I kind of locked in year when all this happened, who might have escaped, who committed the murder, who mutinied, how did it start. I kind of have a feeling exactly how it ended and who the main spotlights are. My main spotlights are still the same from the last. It's still our gentleman right here, which we saw got killed. So we X'd him out because we saw him get killed. But by him getting killed by one of the first mate, no, the second mate, him getting killed by the second mate automatically put things on the first mate, which means 1, 2, 2, and 3. So now 1, 2, and 3 are now just these two, which means the spotlight is now illuminating extremely high for the captain, more than anyone. So the pocket watch is either belong to the captain or belongs to him, because he escaped, even though the captain didn't escape. So the pocket watch, well, it made sense that he gave the pocket watch to the inspector, because our doc is full of illness and he might be dead. So we don't know. He's presumed disappeared. So who's responsible for the mutiny is obvious. The game tell you who is responsible, why they're responsible, why did the mutiny happen. You don't know that yet. You can only assume that it has to do with the treasure that they found, that it has some type of curse, or that it's worth something, and they realize events with regards to the treasure is cursed for a reason why the giant kraken appeared and why strange monsters appeared, and thus they mutiny against the captain. But you also have to understand something else too. The second mate killed this guy before the kraken was unleashed or the crab monster people appeared. So a murder with regards to this guy might have made these people, and this is an assumption, use said object to doom those on the ship. They might have gotten in their head like, okay, so our greed and our, no, his greed and his need under the command of the first mate, which means he was a bad guy to begin with, is the reason why these events happen. And now that he's discovered that he's responsible for unleashing the Kraken and all that stuff, he not only wants to get rid of all of them, but he wants to not lead any evidence with regards to him being involved with him to the captain. And thus, they're trying to clean up the mess. And the only way to clean up the mess is by removing all obstacles. Unfortunately, the captain then discovered what it was and discovered what's going on with regards to the object, and found out that his mutinous first mate is responsible, and eventually the events of the mutiny came full contact with regards to the captain. This is all speculation, but this is what I'm assuming. Now, when I first started the game, I knew nothing of this object that they carried, but I did know, based on the first image, that the dead body on the floor was this guy. It was clear as day to me. And how did the mutiny came about? I knew it was either two, there was a disagreement between him and him, or it was something with regards to an object. So eventually, spotlight this person, spotlight this person, and spotlight this person had to be increased between either all of those three. Eventually, when it came down to just two people, It was process of elimination time. What does he have to gain with regards to anything that had to do with a mutiny? Doesn't seem to be much. Nothing much is said about him, other than he escaped and he is the helm man. What does he have to gain? Many things. And he has to lose many things. But like all red herrings, and there are red herrings everywhere, a red herring was simply something used to bait and switch, so he could be the true bad guy of the story. And you would never know, because he is simply the first person presented to me without my consent of showing his figure, bright as day, unblurry like everyone was before. There was a reason behind that. So, I still believe it's the captain, and the captain's decision that created this mutiny. But I believe I need more evidence to prove that it's the captain, and not partially his involvement with regards to what's going on. He ejected from the ship after the ship got doomed, not before. So he could be feeling guilt for his actions, or I could be way off. So it's either the captain or him, one or the other. Where is it? Yeah, there he is. Met an unknown fate. It's stated he's disappeared, but I haven't got to the location for which he disappeared. I do know, however, there is something called "You have not gotten to this point yet." I think it's either in Soldier or in Bargain. Let's try this slowly. No, definitely not there. It was probably in Calling. It said something about you disembark the ship and you return back to the ship. Or did it fill that page simply because? But I did not disembark the ship. Oh, there it is. It's in Bargain. This chapter will remain unknown until you leave the ship and return the book to Mr. Henry Evans. To he, Henry Evans. So basically the game is saying Henry Evans is alive. But you can't fully know that he's alive. It could be fully returned back to the grave of Henry Evans, and someone else could have given him the book with regards to the pocket watch before he went on an investigation. So I'm not going to assume Henry Evans survived. I'm going to assume someone else survived. That's not Henry Evans. So let's continue with the story. That's my conclusion. The pocket watch is either the captain or a ferryman. Unless Henry Evans did survive. Alright. Pretty much know how everything happened, and the story's not over yet. I still got a couple of people to figure out, but that's my answer towards what's going on. There are probably going to be different type of creatures, and I did realize something. This is not just a spider either. There was a damn man on top of that spider, and that man could have been a man from the dead bodies of the people that it killed, and then transformed them into beasts that carried harpoons for hands. Let's see that again. So it's not just a crab, it's like a crab and a man mixed together. See, look at that unholy freakishness. That is not just the crab itself. That's the eyes of a person on top of a crab. And this guy died from the flames. So either this crab takes his victims and form it into his body, and then the person is like kind of one with the crab, or this is the entire different species that use crab to ride on. Now I'm not done. Oh, no, no, no. You see, this is still a detective story. This is not just a Jack Sparrow story with Pirates of the Caribbean figuring why certain things mutiny happen. This is still a detective story. And the detective story is about what everyone was doing on the shift. Who is shifty during the period of this chaos happening here? What is everyone doing? Are they using this as a method to do their little rebellion or to hide evidence? There are two things happening. And when you use things like giant spiders and monsters and stuff, it's like wind blowing in wreath or giant trees moving during heavy winds. If you move through the reeds or the heavy winds of the giant trees, no one could hear you running because the wind is making so much noise through the trees and through the reeds. They wouldn't be able to hear your footsteps, and that's what's going on here as well.
We're no use!
Okay, so this is where I last left off in my last video. This freakish thing. This is not one of the crew. This is a creature that's riding on top of another creature. A creature that has spikes that comes out of its body. That has no arms, or it does have arms, or the spider takes the person and turns them into this thing. I'm gonna go with this is an entire different being from the sea that rides this creature. This unholy monster. Alright, so let's see what our suspicious people are doing. I don't care about this. This is what you call distraction. The mystery is the what's going on, not the distraction. Surgeon mate, yes. Death by strangulation, I believe. I've seen this dude before. Oh shit, but I can't. If I try to go back into my... Oh yes, I can. Okay. He's here, and I never named him. I didn't name him, but I know he's not this person. He's not this person at all. And I know he's not this person or this person. So he's amongst the guys at the front, and he was labeled. I didn't name him either. Did I name him? Unknown. Alright. I'm gonna go with... He's not amongst the other Chinese people. He's independent. So I'm gonna put him with separate from the others. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 top men. Okay, so he could only be a top man. Which top man would it be, though? Not enough evidence. Nothing to state his name. If they're all top men, you don't know which top men they are. But he is the top man. At least I could say that for sure. Alright, let's get out. Now we're gonna look at who's being shifty in this situation. Oh shit, that's the wrong button. Can I go back? I can't. Damn it, I can't go back. Alright. Okay. Suspicious. It's not like searching for a mass murderer or anything. It's just mutinous people. Alright, we'll see what you got to say.
What's going on?
Stay back! It's already going to Nick.
Hey, come on, boss. No, get there. Hey, Cap!
Wait, Cap. He says, wait, Cap. Well, it's kinda obvious who it is. No, he mentioned someone else named Nick. You're definitely not Nick. He basically says, it's already down Nick. So let's find Nick. Kill two birds with one stone. You're definitely not Nick. But you are being rather suspicious. If it already downs Nick, it came down, and that means he was running down this way. See if we could find Nick. Nope. Definitely not Nick. So Nick must have been down from the top. Yep, that's Nick. It downed Nick. So one of the people on top of the spider speared Nick. So he's the captain. What the hell? That didn't make any sense whatsoever at all. Look at his outfit. It's fully white. That's a fully white outfit. There's nothing on this outfit that resembles anything like what he's wearing when he got downed. So he's the captain. Captain of what? It makes no sense whatsoever. The only captain that remains. The captain's steward. Process for elimination. The only captain remained. So he got spiked as well. And now we're gonna go for Nick. If it allows me to. Okay, Nick. Okay, you're Nick. Okay. Alright, so Nick could mean Nicholas, or it could mean exactly the word Nick. Well, usually Nicholas means Nick. Nick means Nicholas. Like Nicholas Cage means Nick Cage. See if there's any more Nicks. No, there's no more Nicks, so he's the only Nick. Top man, English. I can't identify him yet because it's not about him. Please explain. No, I don't need it. Alright, let's proceed with the story. I started out with 60. Oh, hold on. No, this was from before. Damn internet slowing everything down. That's another 3 down. That's another 3 for me that I solved without getting a lot of clues. Minimal clues I figure for myself. I would say half and half. Alright, so this is the point where I'm going to start focusing on them now. They're not relevant whatsoever. They're what you would call the distraction. The only relevance they would have is with regards to that object that the royal family might have had. That little seashell, or a golden seashell. So let's say someone from the family used that seashell, and it's not a regular seashell, it's like a mystical seashell, calling an object that was discovered, an item that doesn't belong to them. This is the point in the story where I'm gonna start to pull them into the story. They're not necessarily part of the mutiny, but they're now a factor with regards to the mutiny, only because the object is involved. Otherwise, I wouldn't pay any attention to them whatsoever. So I'm gonna start looking at their anatomy. I'm gonna start looking at everything with regards to them. Their legs, their head, their face, everything. Before we had a crab face. This one does not have a crab face. This one is simply a man with crab legs attached to him. But the legs seem to be formed through his body and are forming in the air as if they're like some type of magic is creating the legs through his body. So let's say magic is involved, or the crab is forming through the man itself, or the being itself. Or let's say this one doesn't need a crab's head, it only needs the body, because the body of the crab is attached to his body. But this one needs one with a head. Right. This one needs one with a head, where the other one only needs the body itself. So the head is not really necessary. It's a headless one, and this is not a headless one. Any clues with regards to the object itself? Nothing. They're just killing those on the ship with spears. They're simply there to survive. Any suspicion with regards to them? Are they carrying anything on them? Do they look a certain way? No. They all look the same way they always looked. The spear, does it resemble anything? No. I can't say he's going to die simply because he's falling. But I'm gonna go for it. From that height, he probably is dead. Wait, yeah, there's nothing attached to him. So he died from falling. A top man with this attire. But you can't identify him based on the name itself. So let's try. How many top men have I identified? So far, one top man, and none of the Chinese top men have been identified yet. So it could be anyone. I definitely know it's not a member of the royal family. I know who these guys are. So that's him falling. That's him falling. He's definitely going to die from falling. from that height. This is the guy that escaped. He's not doing anything suspicious other than looking like he was about to tend to the goat. Doesn't have anything suspicious in his arms. Can I go downstairs? I can't go downstairs. It's probably gonna identify this guy. He is the one that looks like he's about to die next. Nothing. He's dead. No. It's probably gonna identify this guy. Oh, that's him. He died already. Okay. We already identified him. Yeah, it's him. I would say the hardest people to identify were the Asian top men. In the entire game, I would say the Asian top men. Because there was nothing to identify them, and they kept to themselves, and there was hardly any dialogue with regards to any of them. Most of the people who talked in the game were the captains, some of the seamen, and the first mates. And maybe a passenger or two. So he died by electricity, but the fall probably killed him. His name was never mentioned. Someone else was talking, not him. Like I said, the hardest ones were the Asians. They don't speak because obviously they're not from the same country. Uh, Electrocuted. Okay. Wait. He wasn't electrocuted. Wait, he was electrocuted, but I wouldn't say the electrocution is what killed him. I would say the fall is what killed him. He didn't fall overboard. He didn't fall from the stairs. Damn it. Wait. Go back. Need to refresh my memory with regards to network of ropes and chains supporting the mass and used for working the sails. Yep. Okay. So that's where you fell from. Okay. All this happened during Doom. First the Kraken and probably no. This happened before the Kraken. So twice did Mother Nature, or twice did someone use the object to allow creatures to attack the ship. One during the process of Soldiers of the Sea, and the other during Doom. So I'm gonna go with that. It probably didn't happen. It could be that they're in infested waters with regards to this strange world that they're in during 1803, and they disappeared into this world, and then it came back in 1807. Or the sea is just infested. I think it has something to do with the object, unless it has something to do with worlds. But I'm never taking my eyes off the prize. The story's about the mutiny, less about monsters. I want to see what everyone's doing. Where is his hands going? What is he doing up there? They're trying to secure the ship during the lightning and knows that the monsters are here. So they're doing their job basically. But you have to see if it's just their job they're doing or they're doing something else. So far, nothing. Anything is present around this facility, around the mass. Any objects, anything that's out of place in the distance, on the sails. Yes, something is. Who's that? Oh, it's the Persian guy. Or the Indian guy. I can't see him. Okay. There. It won't allow me to go to identify him. That's strange. Because he's not dead. He's gonna fall off into the water. Okay. And he's going to fall, but he's not gonna die. Because he gets killed by the Kraken later on. He's one of the top men as well. Anything to identify his name. See, this is why I say the Asians are hardest. They don't speak. There's no identifying one from the other. They have nothing on their clothing to identify their name. No one speaks of them whatsoever at all. They have no initials or nothing. Someone is here. Okay. Can I tag you? I cannot. See, some of these, okay, so here's my problem with the game. So this is an evaluation this time. A lot of things are great with the game, but certain things just don't make sense with regards to the game. Maybe when they were doing it, they were thinking they're so smart, and you wouldn't be able to figure what's going on, and until we give you the clues. But what is the point of this other than to reveal the next person who's about to die? I already know about the crabs. I already know that he's going to fall to his death. if the sole purpose of this scene is just to present who he is and the conversation of hoist a mast or something, the game is just telling me exactly what I already know. So that's the only purpose of this scene. But beyond that, there's no other reasons other than to show certain individuals where they were during the time of certain incidents. So let's say he's here and he's here, the mutinous guy from later on. Does that serve any purpose with regards to the mutiny that happens way later on, after the Kraken? Nothing. No reason. All this has to do with soldiers of the sea, period. Nothing else. So that's my own takeaway with regards to something. You shouldn't present something like this in total if all you're going to show me is just one thing. The guy is about to die. The amount of people who are present, like the game says, a certain amount of people are present. He's present. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Given the amount of people who are present, the game has been doing this since the beginning, showing the amount of people present. How many people are present in this scene? How many people were present here? Like for Doom, it says three others were present. What's the point of saying 3 others were present? Am I going to learn something by knowing 3 others were present? He was here, he was here, he was here. What were they doing? I checked everyone that's present. Let's say in the situation I'm in right now, I'm checking everything that each person was present. So their maximum amount of people were present. So if the people who were present here during this event are doing what they're doing, they couldn't possibly be doing something else because they're here. But everything with regards to soldiers of the sea has nothing to do with the mutiny. It just has to do with soldiers of the sea and the beast, which means the Formosa family aren't here because they're involved with what's going on with the beast. So all the things that you would think is obvious are obvious. This is my problem with the game. Like, if you don't see the people here, that means they're either involved or they're not involved. The passengers, the Italian guy, the artists, they're all in their cabins at this very moment. The Formosa people, one of them got killed and murdered, and there's a mysterious object. They could be the ones responsible, or this could all be a freakish accident, showing the amount of people involved if there's not something leading towards finding out who a killer is, or them actually setting up the mutiny. The story is about the mutiny. The story isn't about the Kraken or the beast. If the story is simply about the seashell, then the whole mutiny and everything happening is pointless, because the story isn't about the mutiny. The story is about the damn seashell, which would make the story kind of lame. I mean, it will make it a Jack Sparrow type story, but it will take away from the mystery of the game. At no point did I see anything with regards to the carpenter's mate. At no point did I see the carpenter's mate repairing anything throughout any of those scenes. Everything that had to do with soldiers of the sea. At no point did you see anyone banging into trying to stop any leakage or anything. Most of it was all about the top men fighting, and the seamen and the mates, first mates, shipmates, gunners fighting. Ship steward. I think I already identified him as a Persian. What's the Persian guy? He is a top man, yes. That's accurate. He fell overboard. They're the hardest. Timothy was never mentioned. There are two African Americans. One is a gunner. One is no, three African Americans. One is a gunner. One is from Sierra Leone. I identify him as a seaman. Wait a minute. No, I identify as a seaman, yeah. And then there's Maba from Australia. No, that doesn't make sense. The gunner is from is in Australia, but he has a Maba. Indian, 1, 2, 3, 4. The Indians and the Orientals are hard to identify and lock down, specifically because they don't say anything, or there are no hints with regards to them. George, Shirley, Patrick, Alex, Henry. There's a lot of people. Let's go back. Frenchman, I already identified him. Last boat. He got shot. I remember he got shot. Yeah. I already know who he is. He's part of the mutinous guy. Got his head blown off. He's a gunner. He doesn't mention any additional names. Second mate. Wait a minute. What? Fourth mate. Yeah, fourth mate. Tell Pete's mother. Already identified Pete. Classified as disappeared individuals. Already identified them. I could be here all day, so I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to proceed with the story. Now, the sections with regards to the ship. I have been to main deck, gunner, orlop. So the last thing that's left is the cargo hold. Hopefully the cargo hold is unlocked to me now. I saw the gunner going down there, so I'm now in the cargo hold, the last part of the ship. Good. Oh, wait a minute. I wonder if this game is like one of those games that it wants you to identify as many people as you can. And then it'll score you based on how many people you have identified. Yeah, but I don't gamble like that. I don't just pick names and then put faces on. Anyone can be anyone. You just can't just grab a person and say, okay, that's who that person is. And since people wearing certain clothing and look certain ways cannot identify one person from the next, that's just assumption. I don't play that. Doesn't mean you're smart, it just means that you're guesstimating. I mean, guesstimation is important, but if you're not using process of elimination, then yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so where am I? I'm in captain's cargo, passenger cargo. Here is the captain's cargo. This is the captain's cargo. Alright, so in Doom, I believe someone said the captain was downstairs in the cargo doing something. So let's see if anything with regards to the captain's cargo is fishy. Nothing much other than booze and possibly gunpowder and personal stuff. Nothing suspicious, nothing hidden, nothing behind anything. I can't really tell what those are. All this is for the crew and to spread load over time on the high seas. So why would it show me a room like this if there's nothing useful in here other than booze? Is that why they mutiny booze? Because he's keeping all the booze for himself. That would be the dumb reason. And they couldn't get the keys to get in. Like, I know where you have it. You have the keys. You're hiding it somewhere. It's like you're not getting any of the booze. That'll be hilarious though. That'd be hilarious if that's the reason why the mutiny happened. They wanted the booze. And it had nothing to do with anything I was talking about. It was all about booze. I'll be that 10 out of 10 game. It was all about the booze. Any blood stains? I mean, this look like wine, or it could be stacks of gunpowder. Oh, something definitely missing. A lot of flies are here, which means the blood of someone seeped through the ceiling onto here. Or this is nothing but wine. These are wine barrels. One wine barrel is missing. Okay. Nothing but wine barrels, or it could not. I mean, I'm assuming they're wine barrels, but they're probably not wine barrels at all. It's probably just barrels for like life preservers or gunpowder. I doubt it's gunpowder. This isn't a gunship. Well, it is a gunship, so it's probably gunpowder. One is, but that seemed to be more like flies are around it, more like booze rather than gunpowder. So these, it's a hammock. No, not a hammock. Passenger cargo. Okay. So we have captain's cargo. We have the front where a booze, up, gunner store, bosun store. Ah, the mutinous bosun. Let's see what you have. The bosun tied it up. What the captain was up to. Here while was alive. And since the bosun is part of the mutiny, not knowing, messing around with shit that they didn't understand, kept